we can all start in the beginning when my mother died when I was 10 and our father died when I was 13. And we all lived together below our grandparents who always lived upstairs. You know, they were the Zumbers, you know, all of us. And we would come home every night and we wouldn't know which bed we were sleeping in. Okay? There were 6 of us in the beginning, and we would sleep in the bed. We would sleep. We didn't know where we were sleeping. Okay, we always was. And most of the time, we would sleep in the bed, not as we sleep now, but crossways, because of the 6 of us. Okay.
How many beds were there?
Pardon?
There were 6 of you, and how many beds?
6. There were 3 boys and 3 girls.
Yeah.
Okay. There was Elaine's mother, Rose, who was the oldest. Okay. And then as we drifted down, there was.
Do the order. Do the order of the children.
I'm going to give you that. Okay. There was Rose, and then there was my brother Maury, and then there was my sister Flo, and then Diane fit in there, and then below Diane was me, and then my brother Arnie, who had just passed away. So that was the order. So we all kind of hung together, and we ended up somehow with my Aunt Mary, Maryland's mother. Okay, she was the oldest. And she kind of worked.
I'm not familiar with who's
Mary was Goldsmith. Mary was the oldest of Zumber children. In other words, my aunt. They lived upstairs.
She was Peter's sister?
Pardon?
I don't want to be. She was Peter's sister.
Yes. There was Peter, and then there was Mary.
He was the oldest, right? Peter was the oldest.
Yes, Peter came from Europe with my grandmother.
Right.
And I could never prove this, okay? And I don't even know whether Elaine told you that.
nothing.
Well, let me just tell you this, okay? My father was a Cohen. Okay. And supposedly, my grandmother had an arranged marriage, and she was supposedly married to a rabbi. I never really could prove substantially because in those days nobody taught. It was no matter what you asked him, it was none of your GD business. You know,
That's what he told you? Yeah.
Well, that's what my Bobby told me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, she was just, you know, God love her, you know, and she lived to be probably 89, you know.
Right.
Ancient.
Right.
Those times.
Yes. You end up for those times. 50 was the mean. My parents died in their early 40s, you know, mid 40s,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, as it turned out, my grandfather, in other words, my real grandfather was supposed to have been a rabbi, but there was never any proof. There was never anything but I could believe some of it because of the coin, you know, because of the tribe. You know what I mean? But there was never any truth. Everybody did different searches, family trees. I sent away a couple of samples of DNA, and we never got any. They're still working on it. You know what I mean? So it was just we were down there. Somehow we helped each other. I went to school with holes in my shoes and holes in my pants, and I walked to Central from Dexter to Richmond, you know? But we all hung together.
So was my grandma like the mother figure? She was the
My
oldest?
grandmother?
No, my grandmother, Rose. Was she kind of the mother figure? No.
God bless my sister Rosie. She used to read us Edgar Allan Poe we were little, and she would read us poems at night.
Once upon a midnight tree, while I ponder winter weary old
Yes, once upon a week, yes. You know.
Wasn't Edgar Allan Poe a little bit scary for the children?
But you know something? At that time, it was bedtime stories.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You know, she had a heart of gold. I mean, she would do anything she could. She worked as a dental assistant or whatever. I'm not sure what her job was. You know what I mean? She
Her
worked.
husband was a dental technician.
Yes, he was a dental technician. That's how she had it. She worked for Dr. Dix at Grand River and Woodward. You know, and for many years she was working, you know, and then she met Irving and they got married. And the crazy part about it, guys, our house wasn't crowded enough. They ended up getting a bedroom.
Okay.
So we were sleeping on the day bed in the dining room.
Wow.
So he moved in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was, you know, this is all coming to recollecting. I mean, it's all it's there. You know what I mean?
You do it at your own pace.
Oh, yes,
Herbie?
but
Herbie? Can you tell us a little bit about him?
But Irving,
Yeah.
Irving was a Russian, okay, and he was not a very happy individual per se. I mean, you know, it was just, we really didn't have a lot of contact. You know what I mean?
I understand. I have a question for you.
Sure.
The Bruson is also a Russian name. The Bruson, my wife, is a Russian name.
That's who he's talking about, Dad. He's
I
talking about
understand. What is it? Where did Zumbergs come from?
Zamask.
The Zumbergs are my dad. Oh, I'll tell you, I skipped a thing, okay? My grandmother left the rabbi or whoever her husband was, and she married Charles Zumberg, okay? And I don't know whether they assumed the name. I don't know if there was adoption in those days or whatever, okay? But anyway, we all turned when he came over, whatever, my dad came over, my grandmother. I'm not sure whether they were married over in Russia, Poland as they call it, but you know, the fiddle on the roof.
Yes, I understand. You don't know whether it's Russian or Polish.
Dad, they came from a town called Zamask.
Yes, but they always would tell me Russia, Poland. I mean, there was never any distinction.
Because it was Poland was conquered by the Russian Empire.
Yeah.
It was a part of the Russian Empire.
Yeah, there was never any distinction, you know what I mean? And they never talked much about Europe or anything. And if I would ask my grandmother, well, what was my Zadie like? And she gave me that same answer I told you, you know, I mean, it was really none of my business, okay? So everybody over the years was very close-mouthed. We had nothing to be proud of. I mean, you know, we all struggled, we all lived. But you know what? We were happy. We didn't know any better, okay? We sat on the curb, played kick the can and hide and seek, outside under the street lights to sit on the curb, you know, skate in the streets. And I would live with the lady's parents. In other words, I would live with my brother Maury. You're good. I would live with my sister Diane. In other words, I was kind of floating around between them as I got older, you know. But talking about dancing, as I got older, I danced. I would go to 4 or 5 different ballrooms because I loved to dance. I would dance 3 nights a week. You know, I jitterbugged and whatever, so we're talking about dancing. It's in our blood. You know what I mean? It was there. But anyway, to go back to the story, we all huddled together. We ended up on the welfare, and at Christmas time, which is really nothing to do with Judaism, we would look forward to, from the Goodfellas, we would look forward to a little box, with a little box of candy and underwear and things, you know what I mean? And donations of meat or things, but as we just kind of all just huddled together and we all grow up. I can say of Elaine, from what I was, from the beginning, you know, we were all together, and we were all as friendly as we could be with each other, you know what I mean? And we all huddled in the relations. I could say that when she was growing up, she had aspirations of being more than where we were. She always had that drive in her mind that there was a better life for her. You know, really. She did her best to do whatever she could, and before you know it, came the job from the Hornet Plenty, and then from that time on, she just was very proud and worked and was always had family in mind, and we were always together. But she had her sights like her Uncle Herbie, to be more than where we were. Okay?
She had 3 jobs before she moved to Hornet Plenty. She had a job with a lawyer she hated. She worked for a cooling company, Keytide Heating and Cooling on 8 Mile. And then she got the job in Hornet Plenty.
Yeah, well, I remember the Hornet Plenty program. You know, the other jobs were, I guess we all were, by that time she was growing up, and I lived with them for a while, and then they all got tired of me. Then I went to live with my sister Flo, and then I went to live with my brother Maury, and then I lived with Julie and Diane. So I was kind of the floating.
Julie and Diane were falling off.
Well, Julie was an insurance man when Diane met him. Okay? Then he went to a Northwestern, and there was an island like on Northwestern, probably, I'm not really sure the mile road, it could be 6 or something, but Julie went into the garage building business. That's how he started, okay?
Really?
And he started in the garage building business, and he had 8 brothers, okay? And each brother was...
You worked with me.
We're involved in some family history.
Yeah, we're recording some family history.
You can
Excuse us, yeah, excuse us for a minute, yeah, great.
So, anyway, each brother was very competitive. They all went into the building business, but they were as cutthroat as they could be. Abe was the oldest, and Abe was probably the one that had the most money as it progressed, okay? And then from there, Julie was building here, and then when he went from here, he built the first high-rise in Florida, and then that's when he started to obtain his money.
He then had more money than anybody else.
Well, you know what? Julie was like a father to me. I loved Julie. Julie was my mentor. I tried to be as Julie was. You know, I started, just to cut a little short, tell you about me, I started selling shoes, and then the guy who did the display work there, the window display work, asked me if I wanted to be his assistant. So what I did is I went and I started doing window displays. So for many years I worked for ASBEC, and they had like 11 stores, so I would go to Toledo, Lansing, I would go all over, all over the city. So I was doing display work, okay? Then there came a time when my Uncle Max, on the Warren side, he kept bugging Phil to give me a job. Well, to turn it around, I had knocked around, and I tried to set up my display.